Good evening. I'm Chad Holliday, and I'm proud to chair the Global Federation of Councils on Competitiveness. And on behalf of us and our two partners here in Greece, we welcome you to what's going to be a fantastic evening talking about competitiveness. And the first reaction is, what does that mean? Well, that means about proving life on Earth. We have limited resources on this planet. And when we're more competitive, we use those resources better, and that improves life for everyone. So as you look at every one of the presentations, think about it's improving life for your children, your grandchildren, and their grandchildren, which you'll never get to meet, but nevertheless, that's what it's about. So this is an exciting time. I am pleased to introduce Deborah Wentz-Smith, the president of the Federation of Council on Competitiveness, and the creator 13 years ago of this concept to bring countries together, universities together, companies together, and leading thought providers together to really make a difference for the world. And we're so happy to be here in this fantastic city. Deborah, would you send us off, please?
Good evening. Well, let me first thank Chad Holliday for his tremendous leadership of the Global Federation of Competitiveness Councils. As president and CEO of the U.S. Council on Competitiveness, I remember very well the day back in 2010 when Chad and I were having a discussion. He was the CEO and chairman of DuPont. And I said, you know, there's so many countries and regions in the world are interested in competitiveness and how to develop the strategies and the policies that will make their respective nations grow and prosper. And so we came up with this idea of creating a global federation. So Chad likes to say, I'm the founder, but you know, we all know you can't do things unless you have a tremendous leader and boss, and I've been honored to work with Chad for many years, and he's still chairman emeritus of the U.S. Council on Competitiveness. So thank you, Chad. Well, first of all, I want to welcome all the members of the Global Federation of Competitiveness Councils who've traveled across the globe. We have members here in Athens from every continent and from over 29 countries, representing councils on competitiveness, leaders of government agencies and departments, corporations, and many great university leaders as well. So thank you all for your support and for being with us in Athens. We are just so honored and delighted to partner for the GIS, Global Innovation Summit, and our annual meeting 2022 here in Athens with our two distinguished partners. This is the first time we've gathered together since 2019 when we were in Kazakhstan. And so today we had an incredible annual meeting where we really shared what's going on in our respective nations, what are the challenges of the world, and how we can work together to develop dynamic strategies for innovation capacity, sustainability, resiliency, inclusivity, and partnerships. So let me recognize and thank our great GFCC partners in Greece, the Delphi Economic Forum, the CEO and founder, Simeon Simokis, and the founder and CEO of a relatively new organization in Greece, but a very important one, Compete Greece, founded in the CEO, Simos Anastonopoulos. And we know, of course, that events like this and partnerships don't happen with a wonderful team. So I want to recognize and thank Team Greece, Venetia Kousia, who's the executive director of Compete Greece, Vasilis Kafatos from Deloitte, our lead sponsor, Ioanna Koulaki from Delphi Economic Forum, and our GFCC team, Dr. Roberto Alvarez, our executive director, and Veneta Puerta, I'm mispronouncing the Brazilian name tonight, of the GFCC, and our treasurer, Chad Evans. We are very excited and honored that when we kick off the Global Innovation Summit, we will have had the benefit of hearing tonight from many of the leaders in Greece who are transforming this country, this society, the strategic importance of Greece in this Mediterranean region that has been important since the beginning of human civilization, but more important than ever today. And so I just want to recognize some of the leaders of the administration of Prime Minister Mitsotakis, who will be with us, the Honorable Nikki Keramios, the Minister of Education and Religious Affairs of the Hellenic Republic. We had the opportunity to meet her last night at a beautiful reception that the new American ambassador, Ambassador Sunas, hosted at his residence, and she is truly a dynamic leader. His Excellency Minister Adonis Georgianis, the Minister of Development, who I had the pleasure to meet when he first came to Washington for the Delphi Economic Conference on Eastern Med. And again, really tremendous thought leadership, but action to build the capacity and capability of Greece going forward. The Honorable Christos Dikouris, Minister of Finance for the Hellenic Republic, and the Honorable Kostas Bourgianis, the Mayor of Athens. We are very honored that he will be receiving our delegation on November 16th at his palace. And the Honorable Moses Ilias, the Mayor of Ioannina. We have a great field trip when we leave Athens to Ioannina to see what's happening on the ground in innovation and economic development, the role of your very important university. And when we open our meeting tomorrow at the magnificent Academy of Athens, Professor Christos Zarafos will be our host. And then tomorrow night at our gala dinner, we will be received by Professor Nikolaios Stampolidis, the director of the Acropolis Museum. As I said, we had a great discussion today, but what's very significant about GFCC 2022 is that we all know we're living at a pivotal moment in history. We've emerged from a pandemic that reshaped our world before our eyes. We are now dealing with geopolitical strategic crises on multiple fronts. Of course, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which has accelerated a major global crisis in energy supply, security, food security, the relationship with water, how we're going to move forward with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. All of these things are coming together, as it were, in a perfect storm. And so it's organizations like the GFCC, leaders and doers who come together to help develop the strategies in their own nations, in their regions, but very importantly, create the global partnerships that will determine our fate on this planet. Some of you know that I started my early career as a Bronze Age archaeologist, studying the Aegean world here in Athens, going to the college here in Athens, and then having the opportunity to excavate at a late Bronze Age site in Laconia, south of Scala, at the very end of the Mycenaean era. So I have always studied and loved the continuum of human civilization, and there was no question that the Aegean world was the game-changing civilization of the time, from technological innovation, ultimately creating philosophy, democracy, great architecture, science, and yes, the importance of liberty and empowerment to enable humans to flourish and prosper. And as Aristotle said, the most important ultimate goal of a human being is eudaimenos, which is thriving. So with that, may I call our distinguished partner, Simeon Simokas of the Delphi Economic Forum. And I'm going to say a few things about Simeon and Simos a little later, but I just want to say both of them are innovators, and the creation of the Delphi Economic Forum is something that everyone in Greece and the region and Europe and extended should be very proud of. Simeon.
Deborah will excuse me if I recognize formal members of the Greek government, which will honor with their presence our conference. With us is Alex Patelis, who is the Senior Economic Advisor to the Prime Minister, who is going to speak a little later. We have also Christos Dimas, the Deputy Minister for Development. Tomorrow we're going to have also the alternate Minister of Development, Mr. Papathanasis, and of course the Minister of Energy, Mr. Skrekas. Sorry but I think it's important. The names are more familiar to us, dear Deborah, so thank you very much. So, dear members of the GFCC, distinguished guests, on behalf of the Delphi Economic Forum, we welcome you all to this Global Innovation Summit, which takes place for the first time ever in Greece, in Athens, until Wednesday afternoon, and at the beautiful city of Ioannina on Thursday and Friday. We are indeed honored to host this important event in our country. We are honored to have such a distinguished group of world leaders from many countries, and we are deeply honored to have the leadership of the GFCC in Athens, the chairman, Mr. Chad Holliday, and the Iron Lady, actually, President of the GFCC and President of the U.S. Competitiveness Council, Ms. Deborah Smith. Deborah, thank you very much for all you are doing for this. Thank you. Please allow me to reiterate once more that the strong bond of friendship and cooperation we maintain between GFCC and the Delphi Economic Forum since the first day of our establishment in 2016. The Delphi Forum has gained a lot from the intellectual wealth which is produced at the GIS summits and from our relations with the U.S. Competitiveness Council in Washington, D.C. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is not the same since February 24 rather. Russia's invasion in Ukraine is the catalyst of the current geopolitical turmoil. We live in times of geopolitical disorder with the unfortunate repercussions in the world economy, the energy and food security, the supply chains, and more. On top, the climate crisis and the pandemic create more challenges on the globe. The years of complacency are over. We need to rethink our place in the world. We need to address and act on all those crucial issues. Please allow me to quote from our Prime Minister's speech at the United Nations last September, quote, "The challenges the world faces are complex and multifaceted. The solutions are far from simple. They require compromise and effort and will. They require resolve and determination. And above all, they require us to work together to this course." I may only add what the ancient Greeks used to say, "Ikeri oumeneti," which in English means time is of essence. So this is why we salute today the organization of this Global Innovation Summit in Athens. We are certain that we will leave this room on Wednesday evening wiser and ready to apply the wealth of knowledge to our countries and to all the cities that we're going to visit later on. Ladies and gentlemen, in my view, the world needs leadership. Only with strong and visionary leadership we will be able to overcome the challenges of our times. This is why our overarching theme in our forthcoming Delphi Economic Forum next April is a time for leadership. We thank you all for coming this evening at the opening session of GIS. We thank all the members of the GFCC who are traveled from far away, actually from New Zealand, from Argentina, from Japan, Kazakhstan, Zimbabwe, and more, and we thank them all very much for traveling so far to be with us this evening. So thank you very much for your attention, and please join me to welcome to the podium Mr. Simos Anastasopoulos, who is the President of Competing Greece. Simos, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Simeon. And good evening and welcome to you all. Welcome, dear fellow members of GSCC from around the globe, and welcome, dear friends of CompetGR that have honored us with your support all of this time. Indeed, as Simeon said, the world is in turmoil, and we find ourselves holding this conference in a difficult period. Greece is in a much better shape than one might expect from a country that was in crisis for 10 years until 2 years ago. Nothing happens by accident, and very rarely something happens by chance. This was the work, a systematic work for this time, that advanced the reform agenda in the country, an agenda that has managed to change the business, the growth model of Greece. The leadership of GFCC during this time was very important for all of us. And it's this kind of leadership that we're looking forward for this summit also. I would like to acknowledge Deborah's trust of all this time in creating the Council of Competitiveness and in their continuing support to advance the agenda in this country. Thank you all for being here with us. I think it's going to be a very important conference, not only because it touches the great issues, the very big ideas that are going to drive the economies of the globe during the next years, but also because of the knowledge that it creates during these events is similar to the one that Greece needed to advance our own reform agenda. Thank you for being here with us, and let me acknowledge for a moment the people that made this possible. This was a very difficult exercise. It's a global event. This is the flagship event of GFCC, and we are very honored that we have assisted even a little bit in advancing the agenda of this country to such a level that Simeon and myself had the right arguments to persuade GFCC to entrust us with the organization of the summit. Let me acknowledge Piraeus Bank, and our thanks also to Deloitte for being the gold sponsors for this event, Pharmaten and Papastratos as sponsors, and the Athex Group, Hellenic Development Bank, EFA Group, Elpen and Space for supporting the event. Thank you all very much, and to prove you how important and interesting this is going to be, allow me to call to the podium Mrs. Katerina Sokou, Washington correspondent of Kathimerini, to start the first panel.